provided you can get it in the fairway. What's out there in the fairway? Well, there's a bunker down the left-hand side. The rough is obviously going to be very thick, and this fairway releases towards the water. Once in the fairway, now you're hitting to a blind green protected by bunkers. It's very accessible, and I think we're going to see a lot of birdies here come U.S. Open. I'm Michael Breed, so excited for the 119th playing of the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. I'm going to take you through all 18 holes, give you some insights into what the players are going to face, and make it a little bit more enjoyable for you to watch the U.S. Open. This green is kind of pitching almost the way the 17th hole at Pebble Beach is pitched. There's obviously no water on the left-hand side, but you can see it almost looks like a shoe print. As you go there, you can see the heel right there. That's where the hole location is, and it's going back on an angle, about a 45-degree angle. What does that mean? Well, it means that that's almost like having two separate greens. I can get a shot that's pin high to this front right portion of the green, but if I don't hit it at the flag, now I'm going to get into that bunker, and I've got a very difficult bunker shot. I'm expecting to see some really good scores here. I think there will be some birdies, but I also think you might see a few double bogeys. Now, I'm going to give this a shot. I got this thing at playing, what are we playing today? 198. So it's just a little bit under that 200 yard. Got to hit this solidly. Oh, yeah. Very solid shot there. Is it going to catch the green? Just kicks off the edge. Settle down. Okay, a good shot for me, one that I'm very happy with, and I know the players will be happy to find the floor here, find the dance floor, give themselves a birdie opportunity. It's going to be a wonderful hole to watch. Welcome to a new Breed of Golf Live. Michael Breed, excited to be able to be with you again on a Friday, and excited to talk about the big daddy, the big dog, the distance maker right here. We're covering this, helping you hit this a little bit farther, and share with you some ideas that you might be familiar with and some ideas that you might not be familiar with. First of all, before we get to all that, got to tell you about a couple of little different things. First of all, the individuals that are a part of this that you don't get to see all that often, but I want to bring them to you, Steve Gibbs and Greg Ducharme. There's Greg in the orange. There's Gibbsy right there. By the way, Gibbsy's running in today to go see a little taping of Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel? You got to be fired up. It's awesome. So excited to get the intel on what takes place at Jimmy Kimmel. I've never been to one of those, and I'm sure it's going to be a great fun. So he's excited. Bringing Val, the beautiful Val, going in. So it's going to be great fun. So that means we've got a hard out today at 1:30 because they've got to get in there for a 3:30 taping of this. So we'll stop down at 1:30. Any questions that you got, make sure you get those. Now, I want to remind you of a couple little different things. You know where we're going with this one. The ball markers, the blessed ball marker poker chips. Get yourself involved in these. They're $6. They're loaded with birdies and pars and positive thoughts right here. And it's only $6. So make sure you get those. Also, too, by the way, Pin Golf, a new partner of ours, and excited to be able to be a part of the Pin Golf family. There's a look at some of the rangefinders that they have. And yeah, there's a green one. I know you don't see it up there. That's because it's in my bag. I've got that thing. I'm using that thing, and it's giving me the great yardages. And right now you can get $30 off of the Pin Golf. All you have to do is go over to pingolf.com, use the code BREED, and you will get $30. You don't have to write a thank you note to any of us here. But I'm telling you, it's a great rangefinder. And the coolest part is you don't need a battery. It's got a magnet on it so you can stick it to the cart. You don't have to keep putting it back in the bag and putting it under the, in the cart itself. It hangs right on the side there with that magnet. But also, too, you don't need a battery. You just plug that thing in just like you do with your cell phone, and it lasts for 65 rounds. It's crazy. And we're doing some other cool things in the future. We got a lot of things planned with that. So get yourself the Pin Golf rangefinder. I'm telling you, it's great. You'll love it. Now, speaking of love, we all want to hit the ball farther. We all want to figure out what is it that we can do for more distance. Well, here's what I can tell you. It's It can be found in club head speed, but it's not entirely found in club head speed. Ball contact is going to be a part of it. The delivery of the golf club is going to be a part of it. And we're going to talk about all that stuff. And if you've got any questions about any of this or something else, make sure you get involved in the chat. Greg will pull it up and give us a read, and we'll get some questions from you. And two, also, Greg will give us an update as to what's taking place at the Sanderson Farm. So we definitely want to hear from what's going on with the PGA Tour, and obviously we want to hear from Greg, because why wouldn't you? It's Greg Ducharme. I mean, come on, we want to hear from the guy. All right, so let me talk to you about the driver, and I want to, and I've got a sticker on the driver now, so the club head speed information that we're going to get from the About Golf Sim is going to be absolutely accurate, and we're going to get an understanding of what are the things that go on with creating more distance. And distance, again, as I said, can be found with the club head speed, but what we also want to do is find distance without adding club head speed. So I want to show you what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to swing this club at about 90 miles an hour. Okay. And I'm going to swing that, but I'm going to alter some different things. And then we're going to look at some numbers and check this out. Okay. So here is a 90 mile an hour driver swing. And I'm a little more energized. So I got 93 miles an hour out of that. So now let's just take a look at some of these numbers that comes out of this 93 mile an hour swing. And you can see that ball speed got to 138. So that's a pretty good smash factor. And then you start looking at this, it carried about 218 and rolled out to about 242. So quick math tells you that's about 24 yards. So I got about 24 yards of roll there. The launch was at about 12. Backspin about 2,000. Now, let's take a little look at some club data here. Greg, if you could, pull up the club analysis view, and there you go. So what I got there was I got a club that was coming into out. That's basically a zero line. 0.6 is basically a zero. So all of a sudden now what I have is I have a club that's kind of coming down the line, and the ball responds to that. That's why that collision, club head speed 93, ball speed 138. That's why that's so good. Now, let me show you what happens when we alter some of this, okay? And again, I think the launch angle was about 12 there. Yeah, 11.8. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit this one, and I'm going to try to hit up on this one just a little bit. I'm going to make a little alteration to my address position, see if I can't hit up on this one a little bit and launch this a little higher than the 12 degrees there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my shoulders with a relatively similar ball position, and I'm just going to tilt them this way. So I tilt them that way, which in effect moves the ball a little bit more forward. Again, I'm going for 93. I got that a little bit in the heel there, so it wasn't my best contact, but a very straight shot. Spin rate went up just a little bit. You can see that ball now goes past that other one. So I got it out to 244. Now let's look at our club data over here, because this is what's really important. Remember I told you I was going to hit up on it. So that one there, I hit up at 3.6. As a result of taking my shoulders and tilting them, I got the club to come a little bit more from the inside. So even though I hit that in the heel, the path of the club was going in to out 2.7. I got a very nice result with that. So what did I end up getting? I got a similar club head speed there, 94. The other one was 93, so close enough for government work. And my backspin number, because I hit it in the heel, now all of a sudden it didn't roll out as far. So it carried about 230 and only rolled out 10 yards instead of, or not 10 yards, sorry, rolled out 14 yards instead of the 24 yards that I got in the one before. So I lost 10 yards of roll because, in large part, because of that spin. I did launch it at 14, and the ball speed went up a little bit. Not necessarily because I went up 1 mile an hour, but the ball speed went up a little bit. So if you look at, let's go back to the other view. I got a ball speed that jumped, but I got the noticeable things is this. I got 800 more RPMs of backspin because I hit that a little bit in the heel, and that's why that golf ball started a little bit to the right. You can see the ball actually spun a little bit to the right. That one there had 162 RPMs of right spin. So that backspin and the right spin put the brakes on the golf ball. But because I had that coming from the inside and because I was hitting up a little bit more on it, now all of a sudden I got a carry distance that was pretty impressive, 230 versus 218 on a very similar club head speed. Now I want to show you one other thing. We're just talking about how we're delivering this golf ball or this golf club to the golf ball. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing across this one a little bit more, and I'm going to swing down on this a little bit more. Again, trying to get my club head speed to about 93 or 94. So ball position is going to move forward, and I'm going to leave the face open a little bit. So I'm going to grip it a little bit open, and now let's swing across. I didn't tee it in the zone there. My fault. I hate when that happens. I just hate when that happens. That's why I said, Gibbsy, be careful, because there's a lot of, got to be careful about making sure. Okay. All right. It feels pretty good now. Now let's see what we get here. So open and over the top. Okay. And there you go. So I got 94. The club head speed was 94 on that one. Now, watch what happens with all these little different things. Let's go up to our club data. Let's go back to the club analysis and see what we get with the club analysis. Terrific. So this is great. So now I'm 5 degrees out to in there. So now I'm coming over the top, and as a result, I'm down on that 3.3. So my launch angle now is going to dive down, and my spin rate number is going to go up. My spin rate number went up to almost 3,300. So what happened on a 94 mile an hour club head speed? So I've had two 94s and a 93. I'm going to call that fairly consistent. And what I get is completely different distances in all of that. So let's go up to the other screen, the table view screen. This is great. So what you see here is 94 miles an hour of club head speed right here, 138 miles an hour of ball speed. So I have, these are almost similar. In fact, the 94 is 1 mile an hour faster than the one that I just, my initial one. And what I had was I got 138 and 138. Now look at how this is different. 212 in the carry versus 218. So 6 yards different. But because there's almost 1,300 more RPMs of backspin on this, on the last one that I just hit, now all of a sudden I'm at 230 versus 242 on the same club head speed. In fact, this one is faster, not a lot, but 1 mile an hour faster. So all of a sudden, that over the top swing down, hit down on it. What happened to my launch angle on that one? That was my lowest launch angle. So I had a 12, a 14, and a 10. So all those things are saying to you, hey, you can have a very, very similar, let's go up to this. You can have a very, very similar club head speed with a rather different delivery of the club in both the face angle and also the angle of attack. And the next thing you know, you gain or lose yards based on that with, again, similar speeds. So what's the ideal thing to do? This is where this gets really fun. The ideal thing to do, and I know you all are going to just, I don't know that you're going to fall out of your chair, but here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is don't play your ball position so far forward. Don't play your ball position so far forward. Many of you come over the top and create steep angles of attack because you think moving the ball forward is going to get the ball up into the air. That's not what happens. Doesn't work that way. What you do is you come, let's go to a 1 here. You come over the top. The club starts getting out here like this and then spiking down on the ball. And now this thing is kind of squeezed out. That's why they would call it a squeeze cut. It squeezes out to the pull side and then fades over to the right-hand side for the right-handed golfer. But you add a lot of backspin, which obviously robs distance when the ball gets onto the ground. And then also, too, because it's so low, it doesn't stay in the air. The apex on that last one that I hit was 62 feet. I'm sure you could probably, Greg, go over that and figure out what the apex was on the one that I swung into out. But I would imagine that it's higher than 62 feet.
97?
97 feet. So it's a third, it's a third more. And so what ends up happening is because it's up there, Now all of a sudden it's kind of going through there and it doesn't have all that backspin, so it doesn't have as much braking power. So all of a sudden I go from hitting a ball to, 230 to hitting it 244. Pick up 15 yards just by altering stuff. Ball position is a leading culprit in getting you to hit down on the ball. This could also be one of the reasons why you're popping up your driver, because you're hitting down so steeply on it and you miss the spot and it pops the ball up. You get those, you know what you get on the top of your club. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to take the ball and I want you to move it back in your stance. And then I want you to alter your shoulders. And when you alter your shoulders, now what happens is not only do you start swinging up, but you start swinging into out. So ball position is going to be back. You can see how far that is back. Shoulders are altered there. Again, I'm trying to get 93 or 94. And I got 92. So again, not great. This one hooked a little bit more, but this one's going to be fun. This is going to be actually great fun because it's going to go out farther than the other one that we had. So that one got out to 240. It carried 218. So I had less balls. I had less club head speed, 92, but I had more ball speed. Let me say that again. Less club head speed, more ball speed. The ball speed went to 141. What ends up happening? It stays in the air a little bit longer, not tremendous amount, a little bit longer on a very similar apex, 62 versus 61. But that thing went 10 yards farther. And it wasn't a great one for me. 92 on the club head speed, but the ball speed went up because I've got it coming from the inside, so the collision is a whole lot better. Okay, I don't know whether you can pull up the club data on that one. Let's see what the club data is on that. Yeah, there you go. So I'm coming into out 2.2, and I'm hitting up 5.6. But wait a second, Michael, I thought you said the ball going, if you put it forward, we're going to hit down. If you put it back, we're going to hit up. But I've been told the opposite. I know you've been told the opposite. That's why you're struggling with the driver. That's frankly why one of the reasons why you might be watching this show is because you think putting the ball forward is going to make you hit up on it. It doesn't. Put the ball back, alter the shoulders, and now you can hit up on it, okay? So I need you to understand the alterations that can take the same club head speed and give you added distance. Now what I want to do here is I want to get to increasing club head speed. How do we increase club head speed? Well, there's a couple of ways to do this. And there's a couple of things that will do it. One is, and not for everybody, but for some, one is just the equipment. If you get a longer club, a longer shaft in your driver, can or can't work. It depends on the individual. I urge you, and look, you know I'm a Titleist guy. This is no secret. Like, we're in the circle of friendship. This TSR is ridiculous. The ball's going a lot farther and a lot faster for me. I've been using it for over a month now, and I've been playing some pretty good golf with it and driving it pretty far. So getting fit, getting the right driver, and maybe experimenting with a longer shaft can certainly help you, okay? But let's kind of jump that for a second. What are some of the things that are going to allow you to hit the ball a little bit more effectively? Well, you got to look at numbers in this fitting that you go through. You look at the numbers. Is the loft of your club the correct loft? What's going on with the spin rate, right? What we want to do is, again, depending upon club head speed, launch through the window of about 13 to 15. Spin rate is going to be, 2,000 to 2,500, something like that. Again, club head speed is a big part of this. And so you start looking at all these different things to make sure that the ball is staying in the air as long as it can. And then when it gets on the ground, rolling out as far as it can. And that's how you can kind of gain some distance. But let's just talk about some of the things that we can do with motion that can allow us to create a fuller, faster, and obviously more distance. One is and I said fuller, one of the things that we can do is we can simply make a little bit bigger turn. And what I find with most people, they try to turn their shoulders, but their hips, because most of us, and if you listen to the radio show this morning with Chris Finn, and he's on every Friday with Par for Success, how important the hips are. You've got to loosen those up, and there's ways to do it. But what you want to do is, rather than thinking about taking your shoulders and turning them, what we want to do is we want to feel like we're going to take our hips and turn them. And one of the ways that you can create more hip turn, believe it or not, is to narrow your stance. So when you get in here and you're looking for a little bit more turn, a little bit more rotation, maybe even a little fuller swing, try narrowing your stance just a fraction and really feel like your hips are going to rotate fully. So what I'm going to do is, in this situation, I'll play the ball just a little bit more forward. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to really feel like my hips are going to turn, my shoulders are going to turn a little bit fuller. I can't tell you where this thing is going to go because this is not a swing thought of mine. But what I can tell you is that the club head will go faster. I don't know the ball will go faster. I don't know the ball will stay in the air a little bit more, but this club head will go faster. Okay, so I actually hit a rather good shot. I'm kind of happy with this shot. Let's come up here.
That should be your swing thought.
Yeah. So come on up here and let's look at what the ball data shows us. And I remember I go back to the parameters, 13 to 15, 2,000 to 2,500. I hit them both. I got that one at 14.7. That's pretty much in the window. I also got the spin rate at 2,300. That's pretty much in the window. But what happened with the club head speed? Well, the club head speed went up to 99. The ball speed went up to 150. And the total distance now, 251 for 267. I mean, that one there, I'll take that all day long. I got plenty of roll on an apex, by the way, that was 109. So that was a little bit far. That was a little bit higher than I would want. I think if I'd have brought that apex down just a little bit, and you can do that with the loft. You could do it with ball position. A lot of ways to do it. But if I'd have had that thing apexing at about 90 feet, that might have rolled out even a little bit farther. Now let's go look at some of this club data and let's see what we get with the club data. So as I start to get a little bit more rotation out of my hips and I get a little bit more length in the swing, the club head speed is going to go up. As I said, 99. So that's a big gain. Now, but what also happens is the club now comes from the inside, 4.3 degrees from the inside. That's the most that I've had. And I hit up on it 5.1. So I achieved all my goals that I wanted with that particular shot. Narrowed up the stance, had the ball where I wanted it, rotated the hips as much as they could. And I increased club head speed. I increased the length of the swing. The rhythm of it was pretty good. And ultimately, when it's all said and done, I pick up, we'll just call that 265. I like to call it 270 because I like to round up. So that's one of the things that you can do to generate a little bit more club head speed is experiment with just getting your feet a little closer to allow your hips to rotate a little bit more fully. Because most times, and particularly age has a lot to do with this, as you get a little bit older, you do a whole lot more sitting. You start locking your hips down. And when your hips don't rotate, now what happens is that your hips will tend to glide or they won't move. And ultimately your shoulders are just going to be frozen. They're going to stop. And all of a sudden the length of the swing gets shorter. And so we lose some distance. So experimenting with the narrowness of the stance can really help a lot. A couple other things that you can do. One of the things that I'm a big fan of in creating a little bit more club head speed, and I've talked to you before about this, is maintaining the bend of the trail arm. And I see it across the board with players at all ages and certainly of all club head speeds. And it is absolutely true that when you come into this, if you have a bent trail arm, you will have faster club head speed than if you have a straight trail arm. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to work on feeling my arm staying bent and then punching, like literally straightening my arm out right towards the screen there. Now, I'm not going to go narrow stance. I'm not going to go turn. I'm just going to do the punching thing. Okay. So I'm going to go back, keep this arm bent, and then straighten it out right at the About Golf Sim screen there. So here we go. Okay, good. Now let's come on up here and see what we got out of this one. Because again, these are all very good numbers. Again, the numbers that I've got here, I like a lot. So launch angle, 13 degrees. Remember, I'm in that window. Spin rate, 2244. So call it 2250. That's right in the middle of my 2,000 to 2,500. My overall distance, 270, very similar to what I got there. The carry distance at 251. Club head speed jumped up to 101. Ball speed's at 151. So I got a little bit more club head speed and a little bit more ball speed in that. Now, let's go over here and look at some of the club data. And what you're going to see here with the club data is that club again from the inside. We know that it was hitting up on that ball because the launch angle was 13. When you see launch angles that are at we'll just call it in the teens. Okay. So 13, 14, 15, teen, you're hitting up on it. When you get it into single digits, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're hitting down on it. Now, the question that a lot of people are going to ask is, well, Michael, if I don't have all the stuff that you have, how do I know if I'm hitting up on it? And I would say, great question. Glad you asked that question. I'm sure some people have even typed that into the chat. So here's what I like to do. I like to take these tennis balls, you cut them in half, and you put them like this. So what I like to do is I like to leave a little space. So it gives you, if you show a camera 1 or a camera 7, perfect. So I have a little space here. But what I want to feel is that when I'm coming into this, and again, I'm back behind this about 6 or 8 inches. What I want to feel is that when I'm coming through, that I'm going to have this club. You're going to probably need a 5 close up on this one. So what I want, that's right. So when I come through, I want to feel like my club is going above that, almost like taking off like an airplane. So you get in here like this, and then you feel that club just going up and above it. And when you start to do this, you're going to start to get a feeling of getting side bend, this trail side bend this way, which is an important thing. You're just going to be open to it. So your body is going to be more facing the target or the screen, but now you're going to be in a trail side bend right here. So as you start to do this, now I start hitting up on it. And then what we start getting is we start getting a really nice launch and the club coming from the inside. Okay. Now, oh, I hear you asking. I hear you. I hear you. You want to see it with the tennis balls. Okay. Good call. I like that. So we'll do that just like that. I'm going to put those just like that. So I got my little window. I'm about a foot behind there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to feel like I'm going to hit up on this. Now, I don't really do this drill because I know that I hit up on it anyway, but here we go. So I know this is going to be a little bit spinny because when I hit up on it, I'm going to catch it on the bottom of the club. So what happens is because of my spin and because of just trying to hit up on it, now all of a sudden I'm at 3,000. Okay. So as I start trying to hit up on it, I'm going to add a lot of backspin to it because I'm going to hit it a little bit low on the club. And when I hit it low on the club and I'm swinging up, I'm going to get more backspin. And so, but the launch angle is still 13.5. Still, I mean, all the numbers are still pretty good. Absent of the spin, ball carries about 245. This one rolled out only about 13 yards, maybe not even that far, 12 yards because of all that backspin. But I love everything that happened on that. I really like the motion. I just don't like the spin. So, but that drill will work wonders for somebody like you who's hitting down on it. Just get yourself a tennis ball, cut it in half, and go from there. Okay. Now, what other things can we do to generate a little more club head speed? Well, one of the things that generates club head speed is arm and body speed. Arm and body speed. So what I like to feel in a perfect world, the ground, I use legs and knees and hips and all that to move. And then my chest is rotating. So that's going to give me some speed. But one of the easiest things for you to do is just feel like your arms are moving through faster. And the reason why I like this idea is because I can move my arms through with this trail elbow bent. I can move them through faster and then punch. And I don't have to change where my mind is in its thought process from arms to feet to legs, all while the club is moving through at a crazy speed. You're never going to be able to time it up. But I can get my club head to go faster by making my arms move faster. And one of the things that you can do to help yourself with that is simply turn your golf club upside down and then just swing the arms faster. And so when you get to where you're doing that, you could hear that whoosh. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same thing and hoping to get a club head speed on this one that is, I'm going to say north of 102. I don't forget it, but that would be my goal. Oh, yeah. Okay. All these numbers are great. This worked out beautifully. So record club head speed now, record ball speed, record distance in this one show for you. So again, launched it at 13.2, spin rate at 2,300. All that's great. Now club head speed goes to 103. Ball speed jumps up to 154. The carry distance on this is 258, and the total distance is about 275. Only thinking about making sure my arms are going just a little bit faster. When you start putting all this together and you start thinking about how to get this club to behave properly, now you got a chance. Now let's go look at what we got from the club data. Okay, so I'm going to call that square. That's 0.3 out to in. That's a zero path for me. But what's cool is my angle of attack is going up at 2.2 degrees. So now I hit up on that thing. I launch it the way I want. As I said, it was 13.2. Ball speed's at 154. Club head speed's 103. Total distance is 274. We'll call that 275. Not a big roundup on that one. And all of a sudden, the way you increase your speed is now put together. Now, here's what I would ask you to do. Watch this. Like, I know this is live, and I know you're watching this right now, but I'm telling you right now, you go back and you watch this thing, because there's a lot in this that what I've shared in how to get the club to do what you want to do, what you do with ball position, how you're going to get the body to move effectively, all that other stuff. Watch that. Don't just watch it once. Give it a couple of times. What I would like to see is I'd like to see the number on this particular video to go up a lot higher than our normal. And the reason why is because this is absolutely, without question, going to help you hit the ball farther. Whether you increase your club head speed or you don't, you'll hit the ball farther. And if you do increase your club head speed, you're going to hit the ball farther. And you marry all this together, and all of a sudden, like, I have some certain goals that I'm trying to attain. One of the goals I'm trying to attain, I'm trying to get this golf ball to jump out at 153 to 156. That's my goal. And I have a goal of trying to get my ball speed to 160. Right now, my max ball speed is 154, and I'm nearing 61 now. So not doing too badly for a guy my age. But the point is that what I've learned over the last decade about the golf swing and how to do all this, and plus with my friends at Titleist, I've been able to kind of achieve some goals that I'm really excited about. So I'm asking you, don't just watch this once and then don't watch it again. This is one of those that could be one of your better videos to watch. Greg, let's jump to some questions here and see what we've got in the pool there for you. And again, in fact, you know what? Before we go to the questions, let's do this, Greg, if you could. Let's go to an update on what's going on at the Sanderson Farms. And my man, Davis Riley, friend of the show, by the way.
Davis Riley is sitting at 8 under par. He's through 15 holes on his morning round. He was the overnight co-leader. He's 2 under today, 8 under total. That's tied second with Mark Hubbard and one back of our leader, Thomas Dietrich, who's 9 under, 4 under on the day so far today. A bunch of players. There's a big group of players at 5 under, including Emiliano Grillo, Christian Bezuidenhout. And then the other guy I was looking at, Michael, was our defending champion, Sam Burns, who was at 5 under. And
he's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore, unless I missed him. He was just there he is. He got back to 5 under.
Okay.
So he's 3 under on the day through 17 holes.
Great. Okay, so let's jump to some of the questions that you might have. And again, just dump them into the chat. As I said, Gibbsy's going to go he's going to go see Jimmy Kimmel live. So we've got a hard out at 1:30. So we've got about 28 or so minutes left to entertain you and help you improve your game. Make sure you get those questions to us. Go ahead, Gregory.
A lot of great questions here. This first one from Joel. Is there a subtle change in a swing? Is there a subtle change in a swing to go from a slight cut, which I normally hit, to a slight draw?
Yeah, there absolutely is. So in order for you to hit a draw, you have to have two things. One is you have to have a path that's going out to the push side. And then the other thing is you got to have the club face closed to that path, right? So how do we create a path going out to the push side? Well, let's go to a down the line shot here, Gibbsy. So here's the way you do this. Arms and hands are going to be influenced by the angle that the shoulders are at. And I'm not talking in a vertical fashion, but more in a horizontal fashion. So if I take my shoulders and I point them over to the push side, that will tend to influence my hand path, which will then influence my club head path to go out to the push side. So if I simply stand here like this, turn my shoulders like this, and then swing from here, that golf ball will tend to start out to the push side. So first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take those shoulders and you're going to rotate them a little bit closed. But what you have to appreciate, and this is something that, again, Greg and I have a lot of sort of conversations. Let's go back to the two. Greg and I have a lot of conversations during the course of a day. I mean, we're spending more time together than most people spend together. And whether it's the radio show or the TV work or whatever it may be. We've spent a lot of time over the last few years talking about ball position. And it's one of the things that I really believe is probably one of the greatest. I'm going to say it's my top influencer in swing direction because it affects shoulder line. So if I put the ball all the way back here, and then I don't alter my feet, but I put the club down here, now go to a 1. And what you can see is that my shoulders are really out to the push side. This is one of the things that Tom Lehman used to do. Tom Lehman would set up with his feet in an open position, but he would have closed shoulders and he would hit draws all the time. And when I look at alignment, like when somebody says to me, am I lined up properly? I don't look at feet. I look at shoulders and then I look at ball position. And I will tell you, I never, ever, 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 never see anybody with a back ball position and open shoulders. I never see it. It doesn't happen. And so what I would tell you is that, yeah, you want to get your shoulders to get closed, but you also have to marry that with the ball position. So when I get set up with closed shoulders and I put the ball back, now I've got a chance to let the club come from the inside. I'm going to show you what I mean. Greg, you're going to freeze up that thing, the data information, the club data information. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the ball position well back here, but I'm going to take my shoulders and I'm going to go like this. Okay. Now this is going to sound funny, but this ball position is actually quite a bit forward. This is going to hit in the screen here. It's going to bounce back onto the firmer part of the floor. And then we're going to go look at what we get with the club data. And what I'm sure that we're going to see is we're going to see an in to out path. And if we're lucky, we might see an ascending angle of attack with the club. So here we go. So feet are kind of square. Shoulders are closed. So it starts out to the push side. This one actually had a little bit of a draw. You couldn't see that because it was pruning trees over there. But now let's go over here and look at what we got. This is exactly what, so we move the ball back in our stance, which you think, and many think, well, that should mean you should hit down on it. But that right there is 3.6 degrees at its angle of attack up. And that was dramatically back in the stance. And then look at what happened with the club itself. It's 13 degrees from the inside. And so what ends up happening? What ends up happening is exactly what we talk about all the time. The ball speed was at 141. The launch angle was 13.4. The spin number was 2,200. I mean, all of it was pretty much the same as what I normally play. Because when you set up and you get your shoulders to the ball position is always an upper body thing. So if you're going to take your shoulders this way, you got to move it back in that stance because it's really still forward. It's just that your shoulders are now positioned well to the right of wherever it is that you think you're going. Okay. So that's the first thing that you have to do. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to alter the grip. So now if I strengthen up my grip, move the ball position back, and close my shoulders. So I'm going to put the ball, I'm just going to take the ball and now put it right in the center of my stance here like this. I'm going to take the shoulders and close them. I'm going to take my stance, my grip, and I'm going to make it a little bit stronger right here. And now I'm going to hit this shot. And now what I got a Bert Blyleven hook. That's what happened. So even though, and when we're going to come up here, we're going to see this information that comes out of it didn't read it. I hate when that happens. We got to do that again. My fault completely. Let's try it again. So we're going to go here. I'm going to put it up into so the sim can get it. So now I'm going to go back ball position again, strengthen the grip, close the shoulders. And here we go. Boy, I'm having a tough time getting this thing exactly where I want it. I get so excited, as I know you all know, because you know how I operate. I moved that out, and I didn't even check to see if it was in the green. So now I'm in the green. Okay, now it's going to happen. I promise. The magic is going to happen. So now I'm going to go back ball position, strengthen up the grip, close the shoulders, and now we're going to go. And so now what I hit it. Oh, now this is a lovely shot by the player. Watch this ball run out there. Look at this thing. This is tremendous. Okay, Greg, just give me some club data here. That's all I need to see. Club data. And there you go. 4.6 into out. And what did we get? We got a launch angle that was 11 degrees. We got a ball speed at 144. We got a backspin number. Because I shut the face, I'm wiping off backspin. It's going to have hook spin now. That one there had 700 RPMs of left spin. That's going to wipe off some backspin. Ball speed goes to 144. I hit that 214 in the air on 89 miles an hour clubhead speed. It wasn't my best clubhead speed. I didn't swing hard at it. I got 89, 253, because a lot of that is on the ground. I'm a leading ground gainer. What we'd like to say when we hit that shot is break a few tackles. Just break a tackle. Let's go. All right. Let's go to another question here, Greg. That was really fun. Understand you could change that fade to a draw, but you've got to make the alterations. Shoulders have to get close. Ball position has to get back. Strengthen up that grip. Okay? Okay.
This one's from DNY Crane. What's a reasonable distance gap between the 3-wood and the driver?
It's a great question. And the answer to the question is everybody's different. It's terrible. It's a terrible answer. So you'll forgive me. So, for instance, we assume that there's a 10-yard difference between a 3-wood and a 5-wood, maybe. If it's a 15-degree lofted 3-wood and it's an 18-degree lofted 5-wood, we'll get about a 10-yard difference, 15-yard difference, depending upon club head speed. But the lofts have are a huge factor in this. So Greg plays a 16.5-degree lofted 3-wood. If you have a 16.5-degree lofted 3-wood, but you then also have an 8-degree lofted driver, well, now we're going to get a big difference between those two. And there are a lot of people that don't like to play their 3-wood from the fairway. They prefer playing it from the tee. So they might have a 10-degree lofted driver and a 13-degree lofted 3-wood. Well, now that gap is going to be a little bit closer. And so the answer is, and it's a terrible answer. And so maybe you want to fill me in a little bit more what your bag looks like. What's the loft on your driver? What's the loft on your 3-wood? What I can tell you is this. As a rule, players make decisions on 3-woods that are different than any other club in their bag. Some players make a decision on their 3-wood based on the distance that the ball goes. So what they're doing is they're trying to get their 3-wood to go 10 or 15 yards farther than their 5-wood or their hybrid or whatever that may be. And so then they make their decisions based on that. There are other players that want their 3-wood to go as far as it possibly can go. Like a Henrik Stenson might be one of those individuals. And I have a lot of friends of mine who play with a 13-degree lofted 3-wood because they've got a 5-wood, so they hit their 5-wood as their a sort of an approach club, if you will, on a par 5, but they may be using the 3-wood solely off the tee because they've got such clubhead speed. They don't need to play a 3-wood from the fairway. They'll use their 5-wood from the fairway, and they'll use the 3-wood as sort of an additional driving club. So everybody's different in that. It's a terrible answer, but it's the truth, and that's pretty much all I can give you. Go ahead.
This one's from M and JA. When I tilt my shoulders, I have thoughts and a fear of hitting the ground way before the ball. Any tips you can explain why the club should not hit the ground first?
Yeah. Well, one, the ball's in the air, right? So if the ball's in the air, you don't have to worry about that. But I'll tell you why you have that fear. So let's pull that full, Gibbsy. Here's why. When you tilt your shoulders, you tilt this way. And what you have to understand is we want the balance to be in the same spot. So when we tilt, what I want you to do is feel like your hips are going forward just a little bit, almost like this trail leg is a kickstand. And so what you want to do is you want to take, like, this part of my body is going to pretty much stay in the center. My hips are going to go forward and my shoulders are going to go back. And this pretty much stays in the center. If I just drop back from here, that's a realistic thing, because what you've done at that point is now you've brought your trail shoulder closer to the ground. And typically what people will do then is also bring their trail knee closer to the ground. And now all of this has gotten closer to the ground. What you want to do is you want to feel like you're leaning in with your legs this way and then tilting back that way. So it goes like that. Let me move that arm back. And you go like that. So you can see this space between my right hip and the brick over there. So when I go like this, you see how that gets greater right there? And that's what you want. What you don't want is for that to be the same and then just kind of tilt back like this and go like that. Because that's not really tilting your shoulders. It's actually tilting your hips. When you do that, you're kind of tilting your hips like that. And what I want you to do is I want you to tilt the shoulders, and you can do that by putting a slight bump into the hips so that you're getting a little push from the trail leg. And now your shoulders are going to have a little bit of a tilt that way. That's a fantastic position. But also too, it is stable. I can do a lot of things from here. Okay. So make sure that your hips are moving just a little bit forward when your shoulders are moving just a little bit backward and tilting up. Okay. Very, very good. Okay.
Rolling of the ball when hit by the driver depends on the swing or the softness or hardness of the turf. Does that play a role as well?
The softness or the hardness of the turf absolutely plays a role in it. And but in this particular simulator where I set the firmness of the property, the way I set the firmness of the property, it's all the same. It's like. And what I can tell you is that spin plays a big part in it. Spin will always play a part in it. That's why when you hit a hybrid into a green, your ball mark, the pitch mark of the golf ball and where the ball is are very far apart, as opposed to a pitching wedge that has more backspin. It doesn't come from a higher place. The apex of the pitching wedge and the apex of the hybrid, unless you hit it really thin, are and should be about the same. I play at about 90 feet as a rule, and it's 90 feet with a hybrid, and it's 90 feet with a 5-wood, and it's 90 feet with a driver, and it's 90 feet with a pitching wedge. But the spin rate is dramatically different. So your spin rate with a 3-wood is probably in that 3,500 area. The spin rate with your pitching wedge, depending upon the loft that you have on your pitching wedge, but I would say is for most people, it's north of 8,000. But whatever it is, it's at least twice what the spin rate is of your 3-wood, or of your driver. It might be 4 times. And the point is that when it has more spin, it has more braking power, and it'll stop shorter. So when you fix your ball mark on the green and then you go mark your ball, if it's a pitching wedge, it's not a long walk. But if it's a hybrid, it's going to be a lot longer walk. Go ahead.
This is from Greg. I played yesterday, drove the ball well for 12 holes with a soft cut. Even drove the green on a 315-yard par 4.
Nice.
Then I hit hard toe hooks on every other drive. How can I get rid of these hooks?
So toe hooks to me come from arms and hands being way too active. So if I'm swinging this club and I go like this with my arms and my hands, now my toe is closer to the target than the heel, and I'm going to hit a toe hook. And so when I'm hooking or hitting toe hooks, I have one staple drill. And that drill is this. I take the club, I grip down about 60% of the way. I hold it like this, and then I swing the club, and I make sure that the handle doesn't hit my side. So I go. And what it does is it gives me the feeling of my body is turning here, my arms are staying passive, and the toe of the club is dragging. So I take that drill and I then put it into the same thing where I'm going to feel my chest turning and the toe dragging. And when I do that, what I'm going to get is, and you can see the ball flying there, how it's spinning over to the right-hand side. Let's come on up to the front there. And this is like a fairway finder shot here. But what you can see is that now all of a sudden my side spin went to 490. And what I also got, because of what I was doing with my motion, was I also got a little bit more backspin. But I wanted that ball to cut, so I was working hard at making it cut by making the body work properly and holding that hand activity off. So as you start to see a toe hook, what I would tell you, do that little drill where you grip down like this and then swing, and don't let it hit you in the side there. And you'll slow the toe activity, you'll slow the hand activity, and you'll speed up the body activity. It's a wonderful drill and something that you can do on the golf course.
This is from Curious Golfers. What's a good way to prevent drives from ballooning?
So again, these are all terrible answers, but they're just the truth. So one way is, and I don't want you to think, I'm not selling product here. But the fact is, I've never seen anybody play a successful round of golf without golf clubs. And I've never seen anybody play a successful round of golf without a golf ball. You need clubs and you need a ball to play. And so because you need that, make a decision on it. And so if I see somebody that's ballooning their shots, my immediate thought is they've got the wrong club in their hands, or they have the wrong ball that they're playing. So I would immediately say to you, first and foremost, did you get fit for the golf ball that you play? Now, I know you can't answer me now, but maybe you could send a text message or rather a response to that in the chat. But where I go is, what's the spin of the ball? Well, if it's ballooning, it's way too much. It's not a pop-up. It's just you hit it and it's just ballooning. Maybe you have very high club head speed and it's ballooning. Get a Pro V1 and bring some of the spin out. Drop it down. If you're not that high of a club head speed player, try an AVX and bring that ballooning out. Take some spin out of the golf ball and you'll lose the balloon. And one of the stories that I tell happened about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm playing with one of my students, just trying to assess their game, and we're out there and I'm seeing I'm 25 yards by them and their ball's ballooning. And so, we finished the 9th hole and we go by the pro shop, and I walk into the pro and I say, put these on John's bill and play these golf balls. And for that back 9, he hit his drive either within 5 yards of my tee shot or right up to where my tee shot was. His irons were stronger because it was a flatter, more piercing trajectory instead of exploding. We put Pro V1s into his hands. I take some spin out. I take some launch out. I bring that piercing trajectory back. And now all of a sudden he picks up distance. So the first place that I look at spin. I look at the club itself. Do I have too much loft? Do I have a shaft that is kicking the ball up into the air? All that stuff can be the case. Now, if that's not the case, then I go right to ball position, as I talked about before. So if I go to a ball position and I take that ball position and I move it forward in my stance, as my club is coming up and I get it on the bottom of the club, I'm launching it high in the air, but I'm also adding spin to it. So what I would do is I would move the ball position back just a little bit more. And when I move the ball position back a little bit more, now, maybe you're hitting up on it 7 degrees and I only want you to hit up on 2 degrees. So put the ball back a little bit. Don't worry about altering your shoulders. Put the ball back a little bit, swing a little bit more level. And then what's going to happen is you're going to see this golf ball, which is what I just did here. This golf ball here now has a vertical launch of 9,000. And while the spin rate was at 3,600 because it went up a little bit, the apex was only at 66 feet. So it wasn't like it was way up into the air. All right, Good question. Gregory?
Okay, from Mike. Should ball position be closer to the center of the stance with the driver or off the front heel?
It's never a lower body thing. It's always an upper body thing. And so I don't look at it relative to the front heel. I'll give you an idea what I mean about ball position here. Okay. So people start talking about putting it off of their heel. If I put this off of my heel, let's say heel right there. So I put it off the heel. Yeah, there you go. That's heel. Now pull the thing full for me, Gibbsy. If I put it off the heel and my right foot is close to my left, this ball is now right off of my logo on my shirt right there. But if I have a wide stance and I go like this, now it's still off of my heel, but now all of a sudden it is relative to my logo, it is way in front. So if I take that position right there and I hit this versus hitting this, this ball will go lower, this ball will go higher, but it's in the exact same position as it was relative to my heel. Ball position is an upper body thing. It will always be an upper body thing, and don't let it get to anything other than that. Okay? All right, Greg, give me an update as to what's taking place at the Sanderson Farms. I haven't heard anything about that in a little bit.
All right, Thomas Dietrich still leading the way. He's at 10 under now.
Whoa.
5 under on the day through 14 holes. Mark Hubbard is at 8 under and solo second. He's 3 under on his day through 16 holes. Davis Riley made a bogey. He's now at 7 under par, 1 under on the day, just 1 hole to go. And Nick Hardy is also at 7 under. He's 5 under on the day.
All right.
Which is not the round of the day. Round of the day, Emiliano Grillo at 6 under through 17 holes, 5 under for the tournament, as they say.
The tournament. All right, let's jump to another question here. We got about 5 minutes left to go in the game, and I hope you all are enjoying this as much as we do. And I tell you all the time, couldn't do this stuff without Greg and without Gibbsy. We appreciate it. All the stuff we do, these are the guys that are behind the scenes, so we appreciate all their hard work, and thank you. All right, go ahead. What do we got?
All right, this one's from JNIM 5477. Shouldn't the ball be up in the stance? I realize that might create opportunity for over the top, but if it's back, that can create hitting down on the ball.
No.
Isn't up in the stance a key factor for distance?
No. Listen, it's upper body. And when this is back in the stance, watch, I'm going to show you something here. Here's back in the stance. I'm going to take my shoulders and I'm going to go like this. I'm going to tilt like this. Okay. So this is back in the stance, but a very tilted shoulder line here. Okay. Watch what happens with this shot. So there's the swing. There's the shot. Now, come on up to the front here, Gibbsy. We don't need to see all this. We got it in the fairway. That ball apexed at 81 feet. That's 9 feet underneath my normal apex. That wasn't low. I might have caught that thing a little bit low. Let's look at the information coming from the driver. That thing's 5.8 from the inside. The launch angle on that is 12 degrees. All those numbers are great. But that was what we would consider a back ball position. Now, let me show you something else. I'll show you something else that will give you some. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this not with a driver. I'm going to do this with a 6-iron. So with this club here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this off of my trail foot. So that's a back ball position. But I'm going to lean back here like this. So now it's off my lead shoulder. Now watch how high this thing is going to go. It's going to take a second for it to register, but it'll register in a second. And let's look at what our launch is on that one. Okay, now, I told you before I play at 94 feet. That was a back ball position. That back ball position should have flighted that thing down like that. 94 feet in the air. So that's 4 feet higher than normal. Now, let me show you this one. By the way, I've been doing this trick for decades, so I know what's going to happen here. Now, here's my forward ball position with a 6-iron. But this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean over on my left-hand side here. So it looks like I got a downhill lie. Ball position is forward relative to my feet, but it's middle of my stance relative to my chest. And now I hit that shot. And that's on a bum knee, by the way. That's on a bum knee. And it comes out low and it rolls really far. Watch this spin up. 38 feet in the apex. 38 feet. So what am I telling you? Ball position is an upper body thing. It's an upper body thing. It's going to be an upper body thing. It's always an upper body thing. Don't ever let it be anything other than an upper body thing. And when you start thinking about what you're doing with this upper body, what you have to do is you have to pay attention to where the ball is relative to your shoulders. Imagine there's a box here. So there's a box just like this. And when you take your shoulders and you rotate this, that ball is going to move within that box. And when you take your shoulders and you go like this, it's going to move within that box. And so you have to understand it's all here. Don't let the feet be part of it. Let your chest, your shoulders be the whole thing that is your ball position. Okay? All right, listen, I would love to keep going with these questions. I urge you to watch this show back again so that you understand all of this stuff. And it certainly seems like we need to do a ball position show, which we will do. And by the way, if you all have any ideas or suggestions of what we might be able to do to bring we're going to continue to bring this through you to you through the whole cold weather time, we want you to help play better golf. That's what we're going to do. And we certainly appreciate the Pin Golf folks. And I remind you, if you want to pick up one of those Pin Golf range finders, you can get $30 off. Just go over to Pin Golf and then use the code BREED and you can get that. But we're going to add sponsors to this. We want to be able to bring this to you for nothing. We want you to be able to enjoy it. And we also want to be able to get a message out there. And also remind you too about the poker chips. Gibbsy, we got to make sure they know those poker chips. They are blessed. They got tons of birdies in them. They've got tons of pars. And when you put it down there, you're going to have a nice positive attitude to help you make more putts and more shots. I want to say a special thank you to Greg Ducharme and Steve Gibbs. Gibbsy, jump in there. Yep, he's on his way to New York. Gibbsy, have a great time, my friend. We thank you all so much for watching us here. Have a great weekend. And I will say, finally, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody down in Florida with what you're dealing with there. And then as this storm moves up the coast, be safe. Have a safe weekend. Enjoy it. And we'll talk to you on Monday.